On all you have to do tonight on it is the random share giveaway. Okay. That's really about it. And also, I got in touch with Scott Burnworth, and I got all the information I needed about that mini bike that was sold from Joe Ravello for money for the Smith. So that did make the show. I know I was talking to you about it a little bit earlier.
Oh.
And I wanted to get it on because I wanted people to know about it. So you'll hear all about it in a little while.
Okay.
Scott Burnworth found time to drag himself away from the Padres game, which really ended yesterday, but he just, I think, celebrated until today. I'm waiting until the Yankees win, and then Burnworth and I are going to have a little sit down.
We'll have a
little powwow.
We'll duke it out.
We're going to have to duke it out. I don't know. Maybe we'll make it interesting. Maybe get a little money involved. What do you think?
I think you should.
You think I should?
Yeah.
No. Still a couple of games to go before the wagering windows are open.
Yeah.
Jordan, we about ready to start the show or what? Jordan? Where is he?
You're live.
Good evening, everyone. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. Let's get down to the starting line, and I'll tell you a little bit more about what you're going to see on the show tonight. We've got a Next Time Try This segment for you. It's about how to make your bike look really great again. Got a video coming up on that. In the Moto Showcase, Mark Hildebrand has sent us a beautiful SR250 works bike out of his collection. In the Moto Showcase, in What's It Worth? 1972 Husky 50. And we have a Just How I See It segment tonight. And in fact, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about that right now. Did you watch the Red Bull Rhythm section this weekend? What did you think about it? You like that kind of racing, that kind of competition? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What about the 252 strokes being the only bikes that were out there? No 450 four strokes. And last year there was an electric bike, which made it kind of interesting, I thought. Two of the most interesting things I saw in this year's competition were Ken Roczen showing up on that incredible Pro Circuit Yamaha that was sort of a throwback to the Bob Hanna era with the lightning bolts. And what's his name? The Hansen kid, Josh Hansen. No spring chicken, but he was out there mixing it up with the younger guys. Those are the two things that I found most interesting about it. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on the Red Bull Straight Rhythm section. Put your comments in throughout the show. Susie will read them back to me a little bit later on. We'll have that and so much more coming up on Vintage Motocross Q&A. Good evening, everyone. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A, and I'm your host, Joe Abadi. Thank you for joining me this evening. Thank you, Chelsea, Susie, and Jordan for helping me put the show together. And of course, the folks at home who always join me every week. Thanks for being here once again. Don't forget to keep sharing the show, whether you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, please comment Motion Pro. When you share the show, well, you get a chance to win a beautiful sticker sheet like this, compliments of vinco.com. We will be giving that away a little bit later on. Susie will be picking out a winner. Don't forget, keep sharing the show. And our YouTube channel is going really, really well. You can see all of our shows and all of our interviews from the past couple of years. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. When you do that, you'll get a little alert just like this. It tells you when we're live on YouTube. And the best way to watch the show is from your big screen TV, sitting in your living room, watching it on the big screen TV while you comment from your phone. Don't forget, when you share the show, comment Motion Pro. If you are on YouTube, and just keep sharing the show with folks. A little bit later on, we'll have that random share giveaway prize. But a great way to watch it from your big screen TV. Thank you to our sponsors who've stuck with us, some of us, for almost 3 years now. Motion Pro, Vinco, Preston Petty Products, Racer X Magazine, Full Circle Racing, Allen Brown, and Northwest Mako CZ. I'm so happy to see you. And the International Motocross Museum. And the next time I try this segment tonight, the tip I'm going to give you applies to aftermarket pipes, like a Bill's pipe, FMF, DG, pipes like that, not stock pipes. Jordan, let's roll the videotape. On tonight's Next Time Try This segment, I want to talk to you about a question I get quite often. How to make a pipe look nice again. A lot of guys have pipes on their modern bikes or their vintage bikes, and they want to give it that look like when it came from the factory. That nice look where it was just welded and you see all different colors around the weld. So we're going to take this old Bultaco pipe, which I've taken the time to just clean up the weld on. I wire wheeled it and then I polished it a bit. Now we're going to take MAP gas, and I'm going to show you how you're going to get your pipe to look like it did from the factory once again, or pretty close. So a couple of things to keep in mind. Number one, you want to make your metal as clean as possible. When your pipe is new, you get that nice rainbow look on there when the heat goes around it because the metal is brand new. So if you have an old pipe, you want to sand it down, get it as clean as possible, maybe even polish it a little bit before you get started with the heat. The other thing is you want to wipe it down with alcohol or something that is going to cut any grease or oil off of it before you go on it with the heat. Tip number 3, very, very important. Don't keep the heat on too long. When you see it start to change color, take the heat away. If you leave it on too long, it's just going to get all gray and you're not going to get that nice colorful look that you're looking for when your pipe was new. Don't keep the heat on too long. And that's how you get your pipe to look like it did from the factory. Next time, try that. This week's special from Vinco are Fox Air Shock upper caps. These are 16, 16 and a quarter, and 17 and a quarter inch shocks. They're $69.95. Now, Vinco has the all-new Fox upper shock caps to help you keep the ride going. These are shocks. These are the just the caps for the top, and the materials and the manufacturing techniques, they're just as good, if not better, than what you would find originally. A lot of times these caps do get damaged from guys either torquing down too much on the shock mount bolt, or they've been laying them down over the years and they do get galled. Yeah, it's a great way to finish off your shocks if you are either restoring an old set, an original set from the 70s, or if you're looking to rebuild a set of the Vinco Air Shock that is available right now. Comes with one shock upper cap, one cap bushing. One kit will rebuild one shock. $69.95 from Vinco. Keep the ride going. In the Moto Showcase tonight, we've got something real interesting from my friend Mark Hildebrand. Sent us a Works 78 Kawasaki SR250. Let's roll the tape, see what Mark had to say about it.
Hi guys, I'm Mark Hildebrand from Nightmare Racing, and this is my 1978 SR250. I'm going to show you around the bike and show you some things that make it unique compared to the production bike. So the forks are billet aluminum. This is actually the early 78 version, was a billet aluminum fork. Has knurled fork tubes on it. Sandcast engine with no serial number. It's very similar to the stock 75, 78 through 79A series engine. The swing arm is different on this. It's the length of a 78 swing arm, but from the pivot to the rear shock is the same as a 79. So it looks like a stock swing arm, but it's not. Sandcast magnesium hub. You can see all the holes are drilled out, real trick. Also has titanium bolts on the pegs. We'll take a look at the other side also. On this side, you can see the Works pipe has a hand-laid fiberglass gas tank. Lots of drilled out nuts on the motor mounts. This brake is definitely not stock. The rear brake arm is much different than the stock one. Magnesium rear hub. Really trick Works silencer. And the seat is got a 3-inch extension from the 78 seat. The 78 seat's the longest seat I've ever seen on a motocross bike until I got this bike. And this seat is like a couch on this bike. Lots of cool little trick parts all over the place on this thing. This isn't restored. It does have a 17-inch rear wheel with the original Goodyear tire. See, it's got the Goodyear tire on it. And that's my 78 SR 250 raced by Jimmy Weinert.
Mark Hildebrand, thank you for sending that bike in to us. For that, we are going to send you a nice coffee mug just like this, compliments of Preston Petty Products and Vintage Motocross Q&A. Put some hot cocoa in there. Winter's coming in St. Louis. Thanks, Mark Hildebrand. And this week, the Preston Petty special is an LED headlight. This is not the headlight with the battery in the back. This is the one you hook up to your bike. It works great on any 6-volt system. Has a flood beam angle of about 30 degrees. It is waterproof. And it's got 1,200 lumens of light. Regular price is $139.95. This week, Pulse Standard is slashing the price to $119.95. $119.95 this week at Preston Petty Products, the LED headlight.
I am Heikki Mikkola. We will be right back.
That was perfect, Heikki.
Hi, I'm Sean Gager. We're here with Altus Motorsports. I'm Kevin Almeida's mechanic, bike number 16. We wanted to kind of show off the Motion Pro wrenches and all kinds of different tools that Motion Pro makes. You know, getting the job done, saving time is crucial, especially, you know, qualifying, if you're trying to do a clutch change or anything like that. These speed wrenches are absolutely great to have. They make our lives absolutely way easier. Every single mechanic on the crew has many, many things in their toolbox, and we are very, very happy to have them on board.
Always great stuff from our friends at Motion Pro. In the What's It Worth segment tonight, we take a look at a 1972 Husqvarna 250 CR. This is, of course, the segment of the show where you guess, without going over, how much you think this bike sold for, and I give you nothing in return. Let's get started. Jordan, go through the slides, and I'll read to you about the description of the bike. 1972 Husky 250 CR, amazing unmolested condition. Very original, has vintage updates, hooker expansion chamber, adjustable rear shocks, Mikuni carb conversion. It's got an HPI electronic ignition, 163 pounds of compression. Still has the original sticker on the rims. It runs really well with no issues. There are no leaks. The bike comes with an original rebuilt Bing carb and manifold. It comes with the stock chain guide, a service manual, and the original Moto Plat ignition. There's a small dent on the tank on the left side. I think it can be removed. I think it can be removed as well. Anyway, this bike recently sold on eBay. It does look like it's in really, really nice condition too. And there was a video of it that somehow I forgot to get to Jordan where you could actually see the bike running. But it does say that it ran, and I did see the video myself. So what do you think this bike recently sold for? By the way, it sold on September 13th in Michigan. 1972 250 CR. How much did it sell for? 25, 28, 45, 5. The bike sold for $4,100. $4,100 in Michigan on September 13th. There you have it. That's what a 1972 250 Husky CR is worth.
Link Smith.
Right now.
Oh, no. Well, Chris Lucas was close, too. But
Who did? Chris Lucas?
Well, no, Link Smith was closer.
All right. Well, you know what? If he sends us his address, if he, send us his address.
How much?
The price was $4,100.
Oh, no. No, then Brett
Lucas?
Yeah.
There's so many of those Lucas guys. They win something every week, no matter what. They've got like 50 cups they won. Jordan, what's going on here? The slide, we moving it? Okay. Full Circle Racing. Still running a great special on powder coating, just $50 a hub. For $10 more, Tom will do the backing plate as well. That is in gloss black or a satin finish. For just $20 more, he'll make them any color you want in the rainbow. Also, another great special going on up there at Full Circle Racing is the backing plate for the CZ, just $179. And if you want to not have the logo on it, it's just $169. This is made of 6061 aluminum. Tom makes them himself and has been making them for 20 years. Get a hold of Tom McAllister at Full Circle Racing. Have you ever heard of? A bike called a Cicado? That's what it is. Ever heard of a Cicado? I'm going to read to you a little bit about the bike. Jordan's going to go through the slide. Cicado was an Italian motorcycle manufacturer founded in 1947 by a pharmacist. You heard that right. He was a pharmacist. Pietro Cicado, who was passionate about both engines and innovative management ideas, such as making progress changes using feedback from people that actually worked in his plant. Imagine that. For the motorcycle Giro Italia and other races, Cicado built the first of Fabio Taglioni's engines to be realized, a 75cc overhead cam single cylinder with the help of Taglioni's Technical Institute students. The company was active in motorcycles until the 1960s. It, however, successfully continued producing compressors, and that grew over the years, ending the motorcycle business. Today, Cicado is an important player in the global compressed air market. Imagine that, a pharmacist who wants to build motorcycles and does a beautiful job at it too. And there you have it. Hey, don't forget, in the Just How I See It segment, which I talked about in the beginning of the show, we were talking about the Red Bull Straight Rhythm section. Put your comments in, whether you like it, you didn't like it, or you thought of Roxon's Yamaha. And yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. Right now, we are going to take a commercial break. Up next, we will have tonight's random share giveaway winner coming back.
Where's Chris Lucas?
Vinco, who already has a full line of vintage parts, now has air shocks that are an exact duplicate of the original air shocks so popular in the late 70s. So whether you're looking to build a full racer or museum showpiece, these shocks will give you that incredible 70s look and improve your bike's performance. These new air shocks are fully rebuildable with Vinco rebuild kits, and all shocks are hand assembled in the USA with all new components. Every component is brand new. Just like the originals, our air shocks are adjustable with 2 chambers, high and low pressure, giving you tremendous flexibility for settings of your bike's suspension. The Vinco air shocks come fully assembled and ready for installation. Just add air or nitrogen. The kits include the manual and spacers. Visit Vinco.com to check out the air shocks and all that Vinco has to offer to help you get back on track and to keep that ride going.
And we are back, Susie baby. And just as promised, we have tonight's random share giveaway winner, Carl Schremberger. Carl Schremberger. If you are still watching the show, please send us your mailing address. We'll get you a nice sticker sheet like this. Compliments of Vinco.com. Vinco, keep the ride going. In the Just How I See It segment tonight, we talked about it a little bit earlier, the Red Bull Straight Rhythm section. I did tune into this on Saturday afternoon. I'm sorry, it was on Saturday afternoon in Huntington Beach. I tuned in on Sunday afternoon at about 12 o'clock and began to watch it. I think it's kind of interesting. I don't think it is necessarily a great display of what motocross is or what supercross is. You know, kind of like the X Games, okay? You're on these motocross bikes, but it isn't really... It doesn't really give you the feeling for people who don't know about supercross or motocross that that's what the sport is about. However, I thought it was rather entertaining, and I think it would be even better if I were actually down in Huntington Beach watching it live. To me, it reminded me of some other experience that I've had. It's called hockey. Maybe some of you are hockey fans out there. I'm not the biggest hockey fan in the world, but I wouldn't watch it on television. But you tell me that you have tickets to a hockey game, and I am the first guy going, I love to watch hockey live. I think that would be something that I would do as far as the Red Bull Rhythm section goes. Something I really, really did like about it. I love the fact that Kenny Roczen was on that Yamaha 2-stroke. I don't know if he'll be on Yamaha in the upcoming Supercross season. Rumors are that he's going to Kawasaki. But I love that Hanna replica bike that he had. And it was a 2-stroke, and the rims are still ugly when they're black. Other than that, Josh Hansen. Kid looked good. Well, he's not a kid anymore. Josh Hansen looked good out there on the Husqvarna, and that's what I enjoyed most about it. Justin Barsha and the rest of the crew that were there. It was fun, but it's not something that I'm going to record, so when I get home, I have to watch it. Other than that, I know a lot of people really, really did enjoy it, and if there are any comments that you have made that Susie can see, I'd be happy to talk about them in just a little while, or if she has something especially interesting right now, I'd be happy to read it back.
Well, Philip Liberty loved the straight rhythm section and two-stroke.
Right? For Liberty?
Mark Hector said, not the best for spectating.
Mhm.
Difficult to see the whole race.
Difficult to see the whole race from television. I thought the coverage was pretty good. But when I saw some other camera angles the next day where they were showing Kenny really scrubbing some of those jumps, it looked really good, but nobody could possibly be that close other than the cameraman himself. Who else?
Robert Frigon said straight rhythm is cool, especially seeing the big war two strokes. Kokoski, dual rhythm, didn't watch all of it. Too busy putting a write-up for the Doctor's Nations for you, Joe.
All right. Well, Jeff, we're always looking forward to your little segments that you have been sending in. You know what? We can't forget that Marvin Muscan was actually the winner. He has never lost a Red Bull straight rhythm section that he was in. I think there may have been a year or two where he wasn't involved, and of course, him not being involved, he didn't win. But every one that he has been in, he has won. Anyway, enough about the Red Bull straight rhythm section, I think, unless you got something earth-shattering.
No, Mike Heinrich's fun to watch and better than watching football.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that. Anyway, that's my feelings on it. The Red Bull straight rhythm section. Got something really interesting coming up tonight in the expansion chamber. As you know, a couple of weeks ago, I was out in Chicago for the International Motocross Museum fundraiser event. One of the best things about that weekend or week, that 3 or 4 day period that I had, was I spent some time with Garrett Wolsink, Torsten Holman, Harry Everts, and a few more guys on Tuesday. And of course, the event was Wednesday. And then we got to hang out on Thursday. We went to see the International Motocross Museum building where it will be housed. And in that time, I was able to jump in on a little interview section that was a little interview segment that was going on. This will be available at length from the International Motocross Museum in the future. But right now, I was asked to ask Garrett Wolsink some questions. And yeah, we've got some video for you right here. I asked him, before we get going, here's what I asked him about. I asked him, does he ever get tired of talking about the fact that they call him the king of Carlsbad or the mayor of Carlsbad with all the success he had there? I asked him about his bike setup. Did that have a lot to do with it at Carlsbad? Also, what other tracks did he like? And yeah, did he also have some international 6-day trials races that he talked about? Yeah, let's get to the video. I think you're going to like this.
No, I enjoy talking about it because it's also an existence thing. Because I won Carlsbad every year, Suzuki wanted to keep me on the team. And, it gave me a lot of, in the United States, it gave me a lot of recognition. And even in Europe, they appreciate that. So I like it. It's okay. It's no problem.
So as a sand specialist, though, you seem to do very well on the hard pack of Carlsbad. How did you adjust to that? And did your bike setup have a lot to do with it?
No, my bike setup, it was funny because in '81 when I was on the Honda, when Chuck Sun won it, and I was second. And then I had an argument with Roger about, he as a team manager, about setting up the bike. And I used my setting, the white power setting, I used in Holland in the sand tracks. And of course I was faster with the Showas, but I set it up for like halfway the race, that it was working very well. And the other thing is, being a sand track specialist, I always liked the hard tracks. And also in the sand is easy when you use to hard tracks, hard pack, because there's always a berm in the sand, if you brake, it's always, and you have always traction, and you never slide away, but it's how you read the track. You used to read the track, avoiding most of the bumps, not all the bumps, but get traction and get speed all the time. So, in Carlsbad was a winding track, was not a stop and go track, it was a winding track, blue groove, but outside the blue groove there were enough little berms where you could turn into. So that's, and I like it. So.
What about when you got to the loamy grass tracks of, say, a place like Unadilla? Did you like that as well?
I liked all the tracks where I was racing, except the hard-packed Italian tracks. I didn't like them. And it was stop and go a lot. And but I like the grass tracks, the English tracks I like a lot. But I didn't really have, Finland, Sweden, it didn't really matter, you know. We could race everywhere.
Didn't you also have some time with enduro racing or international six-day trials?
Yeah, I tried to compete in '72 on a BMW R69S. I was Dutch champion on that, enduro champion. And then, because of my motocross system, then I started in '80 on the Mako, 501 Mako in the 6 days. Was not a success. And then in '81, Honda asked me to develop, to use the XR500 with the Pro Link, come on the market, to use that in the enduro racing. And I kept up until '84. And in '81 I won my class in Elba with the XR500. And in '84 we won the trophy, world champion enduro with the Honda team. So, and then I quit.
We also took some time to ask Garrett about his first time racing in the USA. Let's take a look at what he had to say about that.
Yeah, I came over with the Mako team in '73, and then we finished 1, 2, and 3 in the Trans Am, and in the summer we was in Carlsbad when Willy Bauer won the Carlsbad GP, and I was second or third. And culture shock, I liked it here. So it's for me it was an easy traveling country. No borders, same food, same money. So and in the Mako days, because that was more amateur based than in the Suzuki days when it was more professionally organized.
There you have it. Garrett Walsing from the International Motocross Museum weekend. Next week, I'm going to have some video for you from Harry Everts talking about, well, you'll hear what he has to talk about. It's going to be really, really good. A controversial topic. And yeah, it's going to be really, really good next week. Harry Everts. Right now, we're going to This Week in Motocross History, which is brought to you by Racer X Magazine, one of the finest motocross publications on your newsstand now and also online. Be sure to see our ad in the back of every issue. This Week in Motocross History. It's a first for Heikki. Trans Am Series goes north of the border to Coketown, Ontario, Canada, and the finish Husqvarna rider Heikki Mikkola gets his first ever win in the U.S. based on the U.S.-based International Series. I apologize. German Mako rider Adolf Veal and Willy Bauer were second and third overall. The top finishing American was 11th place Mark Blackwell, also aboard Husqvarna. 1977 is a hurricane, a snowy hurricane. Bob Hanna wins a snow-battered Trans Am Series in Redbud. Hanna went 1-1 on a miserable day that went back and forth between snow, sleet, and rain. The day got started on a rough note when Husqvarna rider Ken Howerton, blinded off the start by the mud in the roost, ran into the head flagman, Carol Chandler, who had just started the race. A restart was called and Howerton got back up on the starting gate, but Chandler had to be taken by ambulance to a nearby hospital for broken ribs and a bruised hip. On the restart, there was a gate malfunction, bringing yet another red flag. The race was eventually started a third time by a green flag. Behind Hanna came 4 factory Honda riders that day. Jim Pomeroy went 2-2. Tommy Croft went 4-4. Marty Smith with a 6-3. Bad Brad Lackey went 3-9. 6th place went to Marty Tripes on a Harley Davidson. Pretty neat, huh? Suzuki's Roger DeCoster, 7th place that day. And that's what happened in 1977. And today would have been perhaps the greatest stuntman in history's 85th birthday, Evel Knievel. Today would have been his 85th birthday of this famed daredevil. Not only was Evel a great jumper, but he was also a great race promoter, too. In his early days of promoting races in the early 70s, that Snake River motocross race that had a $125,000 purse, and it was one of the richest dirt bike races in the 70s. And I didn't know this, but I just thought that Evel Knievel had promoted that motocross race the year he went to jump across the Snake River Canyon. But he had been doing it for a few years before that. So yeah, it's a happy birthday for Evel Knievel, who would have been 85 years old today. Often duplicated, often imitated, never duplicated. Evel Knievel. In the announcements tonight, which are brought to you by the International Motocross Museum, got a couple of really interesting things going on. Number one, you see this poster right here on your screen. It is a Jaroslav Falta original autograph poster. Now, this is going to take a little doing, but here it is. I know you can't see me and the poster, but here it is. And this poster measures about 18 by 20. It has an original autograph from Jaroslav Falta. Original autograph. This has been given to us by Martina Faltova-Kopp, the daughter of Jaroslav Falta. She sent it to me. Actually, I saw her in Chicago, and she said she wanted to have it on the show to promote her new book that's coming out. And we'll have her on, and we'll be talking about the new book, too. But in the meantime, she wants us to give away that poster on Vintage Motocross Q&A. That poster was signed by Jaroslav, of course, prior to his passing. It was done to promote the new book. There are very, very few of these. So few. When I get her on, we're going to find out exactly how many there were. But there were a couple of smaller ones that he did sign quite a few of for when he would be doing his book signing. But these full posters like this, there's not many of them. Once I figure out what I am going to make you do in order to win that poster, I'll tell you about it. But in the coming weeks, we'll do something. I was thinking of maybe you guys sending in some videos of your CZs, talking about your favorite fault in memory. But I don't want to keep anybody out of the contest. Maybe some guys don't have a CZ. So I don't really know what I'm going to do yet. But we're coming up with something that will put you in the running for that one-of-a-kind original autograph Jaroslav Falta poster. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more information on that. We've got a new sponsor. I'm really excited about this. Two things people always ask when it comes to motorcycles, old motorcycles, the vintage motocross bikes in particular, who's making pipes and who is a good transporter. Well, I'll tell you what, Ron Eunice of Belleville, New Jersey, my old neck of the woods, has a company called Tiny's Transportation. His specialty really is hauling exotic cars, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Jaguars, vintage Corvettes around a certain section of the country. Primarily, it is from the Northeast down to Florida and as far east as Chicago, far west as maybe Chicago or St. Louis. He's got a trailer like this. The thing great about Ronnie is he's also a vintage motocross enthusiast. He loves the old bikes. He used to race. He's a great guy. So while he's tying down these $500,000, $1 million cars, he's got some room left over in his trailer. He wants to cater to the motorcycle industry, in particular, the vintage motorcycle guys. So his number is right here, 862-703-8500. We just really kind of got things going yesterday, Ronnie Eunice and I. So I put up a little board back there, Tiny's Transportation, but we're going to have more pictures, more information, and he's bonded, he's insured. He pulls around some of the most expensive cars in the world, but logistics, we're talking East Mississippi, south of New Hampshire, and of course, from Florida on up. Get a hold of Ronnie Eunice, 862-703-8500. He's also on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks, Ronnie. This was something that got started a while back. In fact, it started when COVID had hit, and the unfortunate passing of Marty and Nancy Smith brought so many people together for ways to raise money for the family and do things like that. Now, there's a company called TacoMinibikes.com. That company is owned by a great guy. His name is Joe Ravello. And what they did was they made a Marty Smith Taco mini bike. And it was, it's all red, and it was really, really nice. And what they were going to do was auction it off. However, COVID got into the picture. Things really got quiet out there. But Joe kept on going. And what he did was, instead of putting it on an eBay auction or doing anything like that, and this is really interesting, and it really speaks volumes about the Taco mini bike community and Joe Ravello. Here's what Joe Ravello did. He sent an email to all the people that had bought Taco mini bikes, and they put in a bid. And as time went on, someone bid that bike up to $11,000. Joe, with an incredibly big heart that he has, asked other people who had bid on the way up, would they like to do it again? And they did do it again. Joe Ravello and TacoMinibikes.com built 2 of the Marty Smith Taco mini bikes. They both sold for $11,000 a piece. And this past weekend at Glen Helen during Scott Burnworth's Fall Classic, the check was given to Brooke and Jillian Smith. 22 grand from Joe Ravello and TacoMinibikes.com. Boy, that is generosity like you don't see too often. But there you go. Thank you, Joe Ravello. Thank you, Scott Burnworth, for promoting that. And all the best to Jillian, Brooke, and, of course, Tyler Smith and that beautiful brood of grandchildren that Marty and Nancy had. Hopetown Reunion. This is the 5th annual Hopetown Reunion. It's coming up on November 6th at the Hummingbird Ranch in Simi Valley, California. That is on a Sunday. This is not only the Hopetown Reunion, which you're going to see some absolutely incredible bikes from Southern California. It is the Preston Petty Memorial. This, of course, is being put on or presented by Keith Mashburn, who is the mayor of Simi Valley. I have been asked to be an assistant MC at this event, so I will be down there. And yeah, that's coming up on Sunday, November 6th. That's from 9 to 3. There is going to be food and drinks there too, food and soft drinks. Get a ticket. Tickets are $20, but it's worth it. You get some food and soft drinks. Okay? Looking forward to seeing everybody there. In the cold of winter, what will I be doing? Sitting by my pool in Southern California, putting on suntan lotion, sipping a mimosa? Why would I do that? I'll be in York. I'll be in the frozen tundra of York, Pennsylvania, Sunday, January 22nd for the York Swap Meet. Absolutely great event the night before. We have the Potomac Vintage Riders banquet. It was great last year. The food was fabulous. And yeah, I'll be back this year at the York Swap Meet Sunday, January 22nd. We'll have T-shirts available. And I don't know if I'm going to be a judge of a show there, but I'm not really sure what's going to happen as far as that. But anyway, it's from 9 to 3, the York Swap Meet, York, Pennsylvania, at the York Fairgrounds. Get your stuff together. Finish Line is brought to you by Northwest Mako CZ. Now, I had a little conversation with Alan Brown just yesterday, and Alan Brown was an accountant for the Pennsylvania College of Medicine, full-time accountant. That was his full-time job. He has recently retired and says to me that he is going back in with both feet, promoting and doing everything he can to put Northwest Mako CZ at the forefront of Mako CZ parts for all you vintage guys. Okay? Get a hold of Alan Brown at Northwest Mako CZ. He's going to be picking up that phone. He's got parts for you, and he's back in full-time. Alan Brown and Northwest Mako CZ. Thank you, Alan. Vintage Motocross Q&A t-shirts and hoodies are still available. They come in gray and white. They are just $19.99. Winter is almost here. Get yourself a hoodie. Be nice and toasty this winter when you go over to York, Pennsylvania, or get yourself a t-shirt when you go down to the Preston Petty Memorial next weekend. $19.99. Can't beat it. Vintage Motocross Q&A sponsorship opportunities are still available, Susie.
I know.
We just took up another space up there with Tiny's Transportation, but I'll tell you, I can move some tools around and do some things, and I will make room for you if you want to become a sponsor of this show. Some of the sponsors have been on here for over 3 years now. Now, if somebody gives you money every month to be a sponsor of a show, whether it's in a magazine or it's on a show, and they've been doing it for 3 years, why do you think that is, that they keep doing that for 3 years? Is it because they love seeing me on the screen every week? I don't think so. They do it because it works. 20,000 people a week watch Vintage Motocross Q&A. Get a sponsorship opportunity package sent to you, and you'll see the same results that all my other sponsors are getting. Okay? Went into a little Sam Kinison there.
You gotta calm down, Joe.
I got to calm down. That wraps it up for this edition of Vintage Motocross Q&A. I want to thank you for joining me, Jordan, Chelsea, and Susie. Thanks so much. And Gino! Let's see if Gino's coming out here tonight. Let's see if he... Come on, Gino! Whoop, there he is. We'll see you next time on Vintage Motocross Q&A, and I hope to see you in a couple of weeks down in Simi Valley. Preston Petty Memorial. See you then.